money to fund your idea. What to do and not to do when approaching people about investing in your idea. Hi, everyone. I'm Tessa with the Idea Pros marketing team, and I am here with Mike Corradini, who is co-founder and CEO of Idea Pros. And we're going to take just a second to say hi to everyone. I know we have people on Facebook and YouTube today, which is exciting. And if you guys could just give me a thumbs up that you can hear me okay, that would be great. So we don't have, sometimes we have a little delay in the audio, so I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Thanks so much for coming. I have Jared. He's actually in both on YouTube and in Facebook today. Thanks, Jared, for coming. And Sean, of course, hello. Rob, thanks for joining us. We have Jerry, Lindsay. Thank you guys all for being here. And just put in the chat, let us know if you are in the stage right now of looking for funding, because I just want to get a feel for how many people. I know we had so many people that were asking about this topic, how to get the funding that you need. And so I brought Mike Corradini on for this one because I think he's already training. He trains others on how to do this. So he's the perfect fit for our show today. So thank you guys. Oh, okay. So everyone, it looks like they can hear us. Hi, Bill. Nice to have you on here too. And James, welcome. Thank you. I'm glad the sound is good. Tom, welcome. And we do this every Friday. We are basically entrepreneurial topics if you're new to watching us, because we had a lot of people that were interested in this topic and actually joined our mailing list just to get reminders on this, Mike. So great topic idea. So let's just jump into it because I know we have a lot to cover. As always, Mike packs these with a lot of information. So the fact is that every business needs more money. I mean, at some point, every business is going to need it, whether they get it or not. That's kind of the challenge, right? So a lot of you are in that place. And what really determines if you're going to get the funding you need or not? Well, it's really, if you're about to grow or launch a business, or if you want to just keep it running, you're going to need money for it. And you're going to have to approach people or a bank or a person, investor, someone is going to have to be involved in this. And we want to talk about that experience of what it takes to get that, to get the funding that you need. So many of our partners have also started out as basically entrepreneurs that needed to raise or secure money in order to get their business or idea going. So Mike, what do partners who do they ask basically for money?
Well, first of all, hello, Tessa. I'm really excited to be here with you today. And I'm really excited to share some insights on this very important topic. You know, money is necessary to start a business. It always has been the case. It always will be the case. And so I thought it'd be a great idea to share with everybody on the show today what we've seen our partners do that actually successfully raise the money necessary in order to launch their product and app. And by sharing that with people, our hope is, of course, that we can empower more people to not let money get in their way, whether it's to start their business, grow their business, or in some cases, it's to have the money to keep running your business. And so there's a lot of different points in the evolution of your company where you're going to need capital. Primarily, this is focused today on people that are just starting. However, again, these tactics can also be used for the other buckets of growing or maintaining or running your company as well. One thing I want to say up front, though, is that there is somewhat of an anxiety that we feel is very common when people are trying to raise money. Typically, it's because they have a fear of rejection. Nobody likes to be said no to, of course. But I want you to know that anxiety when asking for money is expected. It is completely normal. And so again, the goal of this today is to give you more confidence when you go out there and do the inevitable to start your business.
That's and the feeling of fear is the same as excitement. So I think I always like to tell myself that I'm nervous, but I'm just excited to get it out there. So if you kind of put it in that mind frame, it does make it a little bit easier to ask.
For sure.
Excellent. So who would be the people that generally our partners are asking for money from in that you've seen in your experience working with partners and people who are investing in getting investors for their business?
Yeah, so some people, they ask a family member. That's very common. Usually, family members are very approachable. Other people, Tessa, they ask investors. And we'll go over all the various people that we've seen identify as someone's investor a little later in the show. And then in some cases, they have to ask their spouse, right? Because if you have a dream, if you have a goal or a business idea that you want to pursue, a lot of times it's the person that you lay next to every night. You have to ask them for money. And that's actually the most common person. So we're going to address that as well.
Interesting. Well, it makes sense, but it's probably just as stressful. so, so can you tell us? I mean, if we're everyone probably has a family member or someone in there that, like you said, maybe a spouse or someone that might have the funds for us. What should they expect from their family members? Are they just going to throw their money at them and, be willing to do it? Or what would their experience, what could they expect from asking a family member?
Well, they won't exactly throw their money at you, although that would be very nice. Most of the time, we find that family members, they do want to support you. They do want to help you, but they want to make sure, A, that you have a plan, and B, they want to know that you're not going to go at this alone. Especially if this is the first business you've ever started, they want to know that you have somebody in your corner that might have the experience that you're currently lacking. And so to increase your chances, it's really important to start by telling, again, whether it's a grandparent, whether it's an uncle, an aunt, a cousin, whoever it is in your family, or a rich uncle, like you had mentioned, Tessa, it's really important that you tell them up front that you're looking to work with an experienced company that does this every day, that has a protocol for success, so that they give you a little bit more of a credibility factor, and that you're not just trying to go out into the jungle without a map, without a canteen, without any shot of making it. And the other thing is, it's really important to point out that most of the time, for them to be comfortable, your family member or an investor or your spouse, for any of these groups of people to be comfortable, they're usually going to need to speak to someone at Idea Pros, a business advisor. And so we want everyone to understand that we are more than willing to get on the phone, to do a video call, to make sure that they are 100% comfortable. That's what we're here to do, is to help you pursue your dream and to really live it. So don't try to do everything on your own as far as getting them on the same page. And we'll talk about some of those pitfalls a little bit later. But the bottom line is they're going to have a little bit of apprehension. That family member that you go and ask, I mean, again, it's money. People are very emotional about money. And so expect them to have some apprehension. And again, realize that we're here to help them overcome that apprehension so that they can support you in your dreams.
And you have an amazing team behind you. The experience of the team, the experience of Fred and Mike and all of the different areas of development, the phases and the specific structure of how they bring products to market is what really impresses people when they see it too. So you've got this amazing backing. So let's say, that's family side. If we're going to be talking to investors, do most investors get it? That you have a much better chance with a strategic partner like Idea Pros?
I would say investors tend to be a little bit more savvy than a family member, but it really depends once again. A lot of times we see people make a fatal mistake. And what they do is they'll go and they'll ask the investor for money before the investor understands our pedigree,
Mm,
before they've actually reviewed the information that we've sent them. And it's extremely important your investor knows who we are and what we actually bring to the table. Because if they don't understand that, I mean, what are the chances that they're going to support you? Much, much less. And so we've seen all different types of people step up to be an investor, Tessa. Some examples are, coworkers. We had one gentleman get his dentist to help support him in his launch. A lot of times it is friends, right? People that are acquaintances to all the way at the other end of the spectrum, extremely good friends. We even had one very nice lady get her neighbor to be her investor. And so it's really just limited by your creativity. But the main thing you really want to understand more than anything is that until they know who you're looking to partner with, and that again, there is somebody there to help mentor you and to help guide you, until they get that, you should not ask for the money. It's
right.
premature. You really want them to be comfortable first.
And that they're going to do basically if they well, we're going to cover it, basically look and recap over what the exact steps are. So hang out with me for just a couple more minutes. We have a couple more things to cover before we dive into that. But I do want to say that, right, if you are apprehensive about talking to people about your idea, you're really worried about it. I mean, I'm just making a sidestep here for one moment to say that if you're asking the right people, like Mike, what Fred has said on past ones, you're not talking to everybody on the bus. These are strategic people that might be good investors for you, not just everybody. so, obviously, we're holding off. We're not telling them until you've had a chance to kind of go through things with Idea Pros. Spouses are kind of an easy one, right? It's easy to get support from husbands and wives to follow your dreams. I'm guessing.
Well, you'd be surprised actually. But I did want to touch one more thing as
Oh,
far
sure.
as the investors, Tessa, before we dive into the spouse bed. And that is, with investors, you don't want to come off as being desperate, right? It's
Mm,
really easy for them to feel if you're being needy. And so you want to be confident in your potential partner at Idea Pros. You also want to be confident in your brainchild, right? This
mm,
idea, this product, this app that you've come up with. Because the bottom line is, if you're weak and if you're needy, they're going to smell it, and it's also going to decrease your chances greatly. And again, this also goes for family members. It also goes for your spouse too. Most of these tactics are universal with all the different parties. But let's talk about the spouse, because when most spouses hear that you want to take money from your savings, money from your nest egg, money from your retirement, money from your equity in your home, all of a sudden you sound like the teacher on Charlie Brown, right? They completely just zone out, or they filter you out. And so it's really important that you're aware of how sensitive a topic that this can be for a family, especially depending on who the breadwinner may or may not be. That adds an additional dynamic that you want to be aware and cognizant of. But the first thing that people do that seems to work really well, Tessa, based on the feedback that they've given us, is that they tell their spouse why they want to be an entrepreneur, right?
mm,
They explain to their spouse why it's important to them that they want to be their own boss. They also explain to their spouse what this can potentially do for their family and their future and their legacy. And if you sit down, probably with a glass of wine, is advised, you know, wait till the kids are asleep and there's no screaming if that's the part of your life that you're in, and you really want to have a heart to heart. You don't just want to start talking about money, because once again, money is very emotional for most people, and having that emotional intelligence to know that up front, it's all about your approach. And if they understand the why you want to invest before you talk about how much you want to invest, we found that it goes over much better with the spouse, and they're much more likely to get the spouse to support in leveraging some of the capital to follow their dream.
I think knowing what they want as well, and how both of your dream paths can combine. Because if you can include in, well, I know you want us to have more family vacations, and this is how I see this happening, working less, all of those things that you can tie in, and just knowing your spouse and what they need as well, and taking into consideration that as in this process, and build it together. Like you said, start with the why, really connect on an emotional level about that before you start bringing in the stressors of the money side.
Yeah, I agree completely as far as tying it all in and making that investment make sense to them so that they can see the bigger picture. But money is always the scary part. And what you also need to explain to them is that although it's scary, it's also worth it.
Right.
Again, back to focusing on the end game with them. And they need to understand, Tessa, that the biggest risk that you can take in life is never taking one at all. Right?
Absolutely.
So you want to shift the mindset on risk. The biggest risk, sweetheart, that we can take is to just keep doing what we've done the last 10 or 20 years, because we already know what that outcome is going to be like.
I love that. I wasn't actually going to make you say that quote that you say so well anyway. So thank you for covering it.
And the other thing is, the definition of entrepreneur is risk taker. So think about that for a second. You have to get out of your comfort zone, right? If you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone, then you're not going to be able to achieve the things that you currently are not achieving. So, just keep that in mind. Risk is necessary. Risk is not a negative thing at all. You just need to have someone in your corner. You need to have a partner, quite frankly. You need to have a strategic partner so that you're not out in the jungle, once again, without sunscreen, without a walking stick, and just going about aimlessly.
I can't even imagine how hard it would be to do all these pieces without Idea Pros, because you're actually saying you're going to help them to, you're giving them the information, you're showing the pedigree, you're showing that you've done this before, and that has to be an easier conversation to have around money.
It really is. It really is. But, if you just say, hey, I need, 50 grand, I need 80 grand, whatever, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. They're going to be like, I'm not going to give you that type of money. So again, the approach is everything, right? If you approach the situation wrong, don't be shocked if you come back empty-handed.
But I think that that's something too, and you might talk about this later too, but in fact, I'm going to save it because I know Mike will for sure cover it. Mm-hmm. So let's say they're we've got some people who are actually commenting that they are at that funding stage. They are trying to get funding. So really, what exactly should they do when they ask for money?
That is the right question right there. So I want everyone to pay attention, write down these notes. You can go back and replay this later if I speak too quickly. But I covered all of the tactics indirectly. But what I'd like to do now for everybody is essentially stack them for you. And by stacking them for you, I'm going to give you the very best chance in getting money when you ask for it, no matter who you're
Wonderful.
asking.
I'm so excited about that because this is something that a lot of people don't have. So,
And again, this is no matter who you're asking, whether it's your spouse with a glass of wine, whether it's an investor, whether it's your family. This is a universal approach that we have found works best. And how do we know? Because we ask our partners, and they've told us what they did. And we've talked to plenty of people that didn't succeed when they asked for money. And so this is what you want to do specifically, folks. Number one, you want to send them, whoever it is again, the overview email that your business advisor sends you. This email is going to have everything that they need to know about Idea Pros and about our process, about our team, our pedigree, as we were saying earlier. And so it's absolutely critical. If they don't know who we are, what are the chances that they're going to support you? Right?
exactly.
It goes way, way down. The second thing you want to do, Tessa, is you want to give them a call. Or again, if it's your spouse, obviously you're going to sit down with them face to face, family members and other investors. You want to give them a call. And when you give them a call, again, you want to tell them why you want to be an entrepreneur. You want to go back into, the dream of being your own boss and why this is important. It's about making it personal, right? You have to make that personal connection for them so that they understand what this money is going to actually go towards before you ever bring up any dollar amounts. With that said, there's a big asterisk on this step, because what's going to happen, folks, is they're going to ask you questions. Again, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a family member, whether it's an investor, they will ask you questions. I promise you. And the biggest pitfall, the biggest mistake you can make is to try to answer their questions. Think about it for a second. If you cannot answer their questions, what is going to happen to their confidence level?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that could absolutely destroy your chances right there. So do not try to answer their questions. Instead, what you want to do, once they've reviewed that background email that we've sent you, is you want to set up a call with whoever is helping you here at Idea Pros. You want to let that business advisor field their questions, make them comfortable, help them understand the way that we work, because we do this every day, right? Why would you want to ruin a potential chance with somebody because you tried to answer questions that you couldn't answer? So again, as tempting as it is, because when someone asks you something, Tessa, like you've been asking me today, it's like, oh, I know. You want to try to answer. It's human behavior. So you want to bite your tongue, acknowledge to them it's a great question. I would prefer if so-and-so at Idea Pros was the one to go over that with you to make sure that you have the confidence that you need, right?
Perfect.
Something along those lines. And then, once you've set up that call and once we have a three-way interaction with them, the chances of you securing that capital that you need, or getting your spouse on board, if it's, collective money, your chances are going to skyrocket. And so again, it's a pretty simple formula, but not one that's often employed correctly.
And I just want to go back to the very, very first step, which how you get the overview email from Idea Pros is by applying, right? So if you didn't hear that part or you're like, I'm lost, I didn't catch on to that, that's by doing an application on the Idea Pros website that gets our team to reach out to you and have a conversation. So
That gets the process started.
right,
Absolutely.
exactly. Excellent. So do you want to just recap those real quickly for everyone?
So yeah, to your point, Tessa, apply on ideapros.com. forward whoever you're asking for money the overview email that we're going to send you. Give them a call and explain your passion. Don't just ask them for the money. And remember, don't answer their questions. And then finally, set up a call with your advisor at Idea Pros and that other person, that family member, that investor, or your spouse, so that we can help them become comfortable. Now, I want to mention also, though, Tesla.
Funny part is that Mike has a Tesla, so that's probably why he's saying that.
Just one letter off.
It's okay. I get that all the time.
It's okay if you hear a no. If somebody tells you no, it doesn't mean that your idea has no merit. It doesn't mean that it has no value. So I want you to expect sometimes there is some temporary defeat. If you're going to throw in the towel the first time you hear a no, then entrepreneurship is not for you. Because I can tell you, entrepreneurs hear the word no all the time, and it actually drives them, right? Every no that I've ever heard has made me try harder. And so again, don't have that anxiety. Don't fear if somebody's going to say no, because then you're going to come from a position of weakness. And again, that anxiety is normal, but that doesn't mean that you have to show it, and it doesn't mean that it has to stop you. It just means that you should be aware that it's a normal emotion. It's a normal feeling. Just because you have anxiety doesn't mean that you shouldn't ask someone for money. If anything, the formula that I've shared with you today should help lessen that anxiety. At least that is my hope, because now you have a proven plan that's worked for so many of our partners. Again, I'm not telling you this based on theory. I'm telling and sharing this with everybody today based on what actually works. So please take it to heart. And, one of the things I want to say in closing, Tessa, I'm big on quotes, as you know,
Yes.
and this is one of my favorite, if I haven't shared it before, and that is, lack of money is never a lack of resources. It's a lack of being resourceful, right? It's so easy to just feed off that excuse that I don't have money, so I could never start my business. That's an excuse. You're not being resourceful enough. So take that to heart.
Yeah, I love this show because it has really broken everything down, and I've had to ask for money and do it that way. I've messed it up. I answer questions when I shouldn't have. So I know that what Mike's saying is truly, truly a good path for you to take with when you're ready to get the investors. Now, if you are, if you're not in that place, we have so many blogs and episodes on Facebook to get you to where you're comfortable to have this conversation. So if you don't feel like you're in that place where you can do this yet, go check out our Facebook and YouTube now, and check out some of the other shows that we have, because we might be able to get you there to where you're confident about making this step, right? So we do have a couple people that are actually in our show today that were on chat with us, and so I just wanted to say hi to them real quick. And a lot of them are, very supportive about everything that we're saying on today's show, for sure. So we had Michael and Rachel, thank you so much for hopping on. Kelly Reed, Odin. We had Lee Richardson, which is Pool Watcher 360. And Aziza, thank you for joining us. Rob Beauty Co. And Mark Morris, who said, soon to be doing business with us. So excited about that. Thank you so much, Mark. Leon, who had to ask for permission from their spouse, actually, or her. Yes, from a spouse. And let's see, Donna Stewart. There's so many comments. Thank you guys for being on with us today, by the way. And I can't even get through them all. Jared had a great thing. He was saying a ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, very good, very good. Ruben's on. Thank you guys all so much, Laura. And if you guys could, if you are in that stage where you want help with this, again, go to Idea Pros and do the application on the website. So it's right on the homepage, right? Still,
Yeah,
Mike?
you can just click start now from the homepage. And it's just a matter of you taking action and checking your belief system. That's the other thing. If you hear that little voice in your head saying I could never raise money, you need to stomp that now. That limiting belief needs to be eliminated from your mind, because one of my other favorite quotes is, whether you think you can or not, you're always right. Henry Ford. I absolutely love that quote. If you know you're going to go out there and raise money for your idea, you most likely will. And if you let that little voice in your head stop you, well, that's what's going to happen. You're
Yeah.
not going to go out, you're not going to try, and you're going to just keep getting the same results you've always got. So start today, don't delay. We have a new year starting very shortly, 2020. You all have the opportunity to better yourselves. And again, I hope I've provided some value to those that currently have the hurdle in their life of not having the resources or the support, if it was your spouse, to access those resources in order to follow your dream.
Well, I think they all agree that you had great info. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Sean said that, as well as Donna and Christine. Thank you guys all so much. We're glad you were here. And thank you, Mike, for sharing with us. And we'll be back next Friday at noon Pacific time, guys. So you can join us on YouTube or Facebook, either one now. So please go subscribe to YouTube as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tessa, and happy holidays to
Happy
you and
holidays.
everybody else.
Absolutely. Have fun, guys. Thanks.
Bye for now.